What do you think we should cover today?
Conflict of interest.
Is that a topic of interest?
It's boring. That's your concern, right?
The boringer it is, the funnier we make.
Just take one example of the tower in Vietnam.
What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with the tower. It's a beautiful tower.
I'm sorry I offended you. There's nothing wrong with...
Hey, come on, golf podcast. I don't even know the game, but I was there. It's so brilliant, so brilliant. They all loved me. I taught them a lot about golf.
And all my life I have been stupid but compliant.
So, Paddy, I'm thinking we have been covering now many topics under our podcast series. I lost count. This must be episode number 9 or 10. I think we have covered many different dimensions, aspects of corporate life. What do you think we should cover today?
Conflict of interest.
Is that a topic of interest?
Not topic of interest. Conflict of interest.
Yeah, I got that. But what I'm saying is conflict of interest really a topic of interest?
Rahul, it's boring. That's your concern, right?
Absolutely.
You think it's boring. I think it's boring. I'm sure all our listeners, unless they work in compliance, they may think it's exciting. Everybody knows it's boring. But Rahul, that's the unique. Whatever we've talked about, business jargon is boring. Some of the interview questions are boring and stupid and tricky. And everything we do. What is our claim to fame, if I can call what we've achieved as fame, is that we take boring topics and inject fun into them. So I said, in that context, it's the perfect topic.
I would agree with you. And in that sense, I stand corrected.
You're sitting.
Or I sit corrected.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. The boringer it is, the funnier we make.
Wow. I like the way you said it. In fact, there you've created a JB motto, Jest Business motto. The boringer it is, the funnier
we make. Absolutely. So I was saying there's a second reason also why it's a good topic. It's topical in that sense, because there's so much of conflict of interest that's going around. If you just read the newspapers or, kind of business websites.
I mean, just take one example of the tower in Vietnam.
What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with the tower. There's nothing wrong. It's all good. It's a beautiful tower. It's absolutely beautiful tower. There's nothing wrong in it.
I'm sorry I offended you. There's nothing wrong with the tower. In fact, we were saying the tower is a good example of conflict of interest and fits very well, therefore, as a topic.
Of course it fits well. It fits well. Whatever I do, it fits very well. It fits well, better than well. It's better than it fits well, That's what I mean. Everything I do is very swell. Buddy, anything I do is absolutely worthy of your podcast. I come on all kinds of podcasts. I come on golf podcasts. I don't even know the game, but I was there. It's so brilliant, so brilliant. They all loved me. I taught them a lot about golf. So I'm not surprised. I'm more surprised. Why are you surprised?
Yeah. No, I'm not surprised at all. You deserve to be on all those podcasts. But Rahul, let's not get carried away. Let's get back to the conflict of interest topic. So on the one hand, as you said, conflict of interest is everywhere. But at the same time, companies are so confident that they've eliminated conflict of interest, that they don't like conflict of interest, and they have training programs on conflict of interest.
And training, the mandatory compliance training for everyone during the onboarding, and then periodic refreshers as well during every 6 months.
6 months.
And if you miss them, you get those really nasty emails from compliance and your bosses. Please do it.
And many of those are webinars, but I suggest we actually take an actual physical compliance training and do a role play of that, because we have been remiss. We've talked about the compliance training as one of the meetings, but we've not really dived deep into it. So why don't we do that as the first part of our podcast? And I don't know if you have time after that, we can actually share examples of how there's so many hilarious conflicts of interest in the world today.
Actually, I agree. It's such a rich topic, Paddy. I agree. Let's devote today's episode completely to the topic of, conflict of interest, and maybe then come back to make fun of the reality and the conflict of interest actually around us everywhere.
So should we use our time-tested method of
which is role play?
Yes. Yeah, but logically, for a role play, one of us should be the the trainer and one of us be different participants, but somehow that guy who's this all fun goes to one person. So I think we should both be trainer and also both be participants. Mix it up a bit. How do you suggest we do that?
Okay. Agree. How do we facilitate that? So maybe, let's have two jokers playing the
Two
training
jokers.
role.
Yes.
And one key member of the compliance team.
Yes, the actual trainer.
Actual trainer. And, the head of compliance, maybe.
Perfect.
So trainer, head of compliance, and then the two trainees. And let's call the company Megacorp.
Megacorp. Okay.
Sounds bombastic enough. And let me start being the trainer. Let's say, let's call her Janet. Janet? It's Sinclair. Yeah, let's call it Janet for sure.
Janet Sinclair. That's a good name. Yeah.
You be the boss, Mike Oakshott.
Mike Oakshott. Okay.
All right. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Megacorp's annual compliance training, ethics and compliance training. Built on our guiding principle, unlocking stakeholder value via proactive ethicality. Let that sink in, because that's our guiding motto, our mission statement for our department. I'm Janet Sinclair from the Circle of Conscience Training, Circle of Conscience Department, which used to be called just the compliance department, so not so far back. It was so boring. But now, in keeping in tune with the new direction our department is taking ever since Mike Oakshott has joined us, it's called Circle of Conscience. But when Mike Oakshott took over, he immediately raised the whole stature of our team, of our department, our visibility. And, Mike reports directly to the board, not to the CEO. So before we start, I want to thank you, Mike, for your, ever since you come up on stage, I would like to thank you for your brilliant leadership and your proactive efforts by which you raised the visibility of our compliance team. You have elevated the whole compliance training from a mere, box-ticking exercise to active part of the pulse, the heart, the very soul of, every employee's raison d'etre in the company. So I think it's a brilliant start for all of us. You have been a true North Star and guide for all of us in the Circle of Conscience.
Thank you, Janet, for those very kind words. I try, in my modest, small way to make a difference and to do the right thing. And I usually succeed because I have a PhD in normatic ethics from Northwestern.
Oh boy. Okay.
And over 23 years, I have made 14 companies compliant.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's like an average of about 1.6 years per company, and I make them compliant. In fact, in my previous company, they used to say, if it's right, Mike's behind it.
Brilliant,
if it's wrong, Mike will fix it.
Why am I not surprised, Mike? Yeah, absolutely.
And then to that, I add with levity. And if it's left, you're driving on the wrong side of the road. But now, seriously, to all of you, we've got a great trainer in Janet. Please pay attention, because compliance is the lifeblood of this corporation. Not this corporation, every corporation.
I agree.
And the next 5 hours, entertaining, brilliant 5 hours, are going to be the most important 5 hours of your career. I guarantee it.
Excuse me?
Yes. This gentleman in the white shirt, you have a question?
So yesterday in the town hall, the CEO actually said town halls are the most important meetings for this company.
He was wrong. He was so wrong. That is why, Mr. White Shirt,
Yes.
that is why I don't report to the CEO. I report directly to the board. And I go for the board meetings. I'm in a 3-piece suit. Not dressed like this, of course. And in a last board meeting, I shared a 31-slide presentation on compliance. And in that presentation, I showed them why compliance is so important. And I told them that while the board has agreed to changing the department to Circle of Conscience, that's only half the job. We need to complete the ethical loop by changing my title. And they agreed. So, Janet, you'll be pleased to know that from this week, I'm no longer Chief Compliance Officer.
Really?
I am Moral Compass in Chief. You're reporting to the Moral Compass in Chief.
That's so true to the actual nature of the work you do.
Yes.
Mike, very few people realize in this company, in a way, we kind of actually do the work of the Lord.
Yes, we do the work. Absolutely.
So,
I never thought of it that way, but Janet, it makes me feel much holier and good about my job, which I was feeling pretty good about. Thank you.
So, I'll continue at Janet and
Yes.
Patty, and then you can be a participant and then
pitch in
suddenly
as
switch to
Oakshot
Mike
as well, yes.
Oakshot, the new moral compass in chief as you deem fit. So let's start with the definition of conflict of interest. Conflict of interest, people, represents a governance risk scenario where personal interests intersect with your professional obligations and professional, duties, creating potential compromise situations in which can impact your decision-making integrity and adversely impact also the stakeholder confidence, regulatory positioning, organizational, performance metrics, and actual impropriety or the appearance thereof.
Sorry,
Yes.
that's a bit complex, isn't it, as a definition? I don't know. I didn't understand it, to be honest.
Actually, it's not complex if you really grasp the ethos of the compliance. But since you're saying it, let me try to make it simpler for you. Think of it as a divergence of vectors. Your primary vector is your professional obligation to Megacorp. All right, with me so far? This could be financial, familial, fiduciary, fraternal, friendship-based or whatever. Or even something that doesn't start with the F. When that secondary vector threatens to intersect with the primary vector and alter the trajectory of the primary vector, you're entered a conflict of interest paradigm metrics.
Do you
Yeah, sounds right?
Did you make it clearer? Somehow it became even more muddled for me.
How do I say this? Okay, here's an example.
Okay.
You're a secretary of the IT department.
Okay. Oh, we're playing a role play. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
the secretary of the IT. Okay.
And when you're speaking to your cousin on the phone, you mentioned that you need to buy a packet of Pilot G25 ballpoint pens for the department. And she says, no problem. She'll get them for you when she meets you for lunch. In this case, what would you do?
Me?
Yeah.
I think I should pay for the lunch because, after all, she's taking the trouble to bring the pens to me. Correct?
No, man. You really need this training. You should actually say, no, as a cousin, I cannot buy from you. It's a conflict of interest. You understand the conflict?
The interest, shall I try to... Okay, let me tell you what... Shall I illustrate the interest? Let me see how I'm getting it.
Okay.
I'm interested in buying pens.
Mm-hmm.
Cousin is interested in helping me. I'm interested in taking her help. She is interested in having lunch with me because we've not had lunch for a long time. I share the same interest. We also share an interest for Thai food, but I'm interested in eating vegetarian, whereas she is interested in... Am I going in the right direction? Or?
No, not at all. You can't be more wrong. I'm talking about a conflict between your business and your personal interest. Your business interest is to buy the pens for the lowest possible cost, and your personal interest is giving business to your cousin. And the clash between the two is called I'm saying this very slowly now, the conflict of interest.
For $10, the packet is going to cost $10.
As Mike Oakshot, our moral compass in chief, says, it's not the dollar value. It's never the money. It's the value.
Value.
Yes. Mike is using the first value in that sentence to depict not the superficial, transactional or monetary nature of an item or a cost or a number of a receipt. No, it's not that. And B, our core organizational principles, our ethical integrity, our ethical excellence, moral fiber, the foundation of trust that together and not separately form the bedrock, form the foundation, form the fundament of our stakeholder confidence ecosystem and define Megacorp's reputation, its responsibility, its character in the marketplace. In other words, whether it's $10 or $10,000, it doesn't matter. Our values have no monetary value.
I understood that. I didn't need quite that long explanation, but the fact is my cousin does not own the stationery. She's merely an employee. So there's no conflict here. She's not going to make any money out of this. She's just going to get me the pens.
That's exactly where you're wrong. I refer you back to our definition. I'll read it. And in that, the Megacorp Corporation, official definition of conflict of interest. Conflict of interest represents a governance risk scenario where personal interests intersect with professional obligations, creating potential compromise points in decision-making integrity that could adversely impact stakeholder confidence, regulatory positioning, or organizational reputation metrics through our direct, actual impropriety or appearance thereof. What does the last part say? I'm finished.
Appearance thereof.
Actual impropriety or appearance thereof. Your action in your mind is not improper, but it does create the impression of impropriety.
So from participant, I'm becoming Mike Oakeshott.
Okay.
Janet, that was a wonderful way of explaining. Some of these people don't get it. And maybe to add to it, shall I give a personal anecdote?
Oh, wow. I mean, Mike's, you're going to give personal anecdote? Absolutely. Pay attention, folks. Mike, our chief moral compass and chief, is now going to give a personal anecdote. And believe me, these are worth their weight in gold. I have listened to some few of those, and they are really, like modern day Aesop's fables. They really tell you the right and the wrong between your behavior. He had explains complex ethical, moral principles with simple, straightforward examples.
So this is an actual thing that happened. My neighbor is a tennis coach.
Tennis coach.
Tennis coach. And
see what I'm talking about?
I'm a keen tennis player. And one day he tells me, Mike, I'll give you a free lesson. After all, it's the least I can do as a neighbor. My eyes brightened up and I looked good. And then he added, and by the way, I also supply toilet paper to Megacorp's head office. And after all, I should do the customer a good turn. So Janet, what do you think I did?
Of course, you turned it down, right?
Well,
Mike?
I ought to turn it down, but it was very tempting because this guy's a good coach. And my backhand topspin, I was having trouble with. I really did want to learn it. So I thought of an extremely clever way of handling this. I told him, I said, I love your offer, but can you just repeat what you said without saying the last part about the company? Now, he looked at me strangely. He said, that's so stupid. I told him that's stupid, but it's so compliant.
Absolutely.
And I told him I'm the chief compliant officer. By the way, this was before the title change. This was 2 weeks ago. I said, I'm chief compliant officer, and therefore, this is very important. He still felt it was stupid, but some of these people, they don't get it. They don't have the ethical, the moral compass.
No, but Mike, you make such a good lesson. You can be stupid, doesn't matter, but you should be compliant.
Exactly. And all my life, I have been stupid, but compliant.
Brilliant. See, people, how seriously Mike takes the ethos, the integrity, the core of compliance and has embedded it into his personal behavior, even in his personal life. He's on a tennis court, not an office meeting, not in a representative.
Exactly.
But even then, he did not get the compliance drop.
And then he repeated it. He said, hey, Mike, I'd love to give you a free lesson. After all, you're my neighbor. And he stopped. And this time, I had recorded it on my phone. So everything was hunky-dory and proper. I took the lesson and I'm so compliant. I have it on my phone for sure.
It's brilliant. All right, so enough. So let me now get to the end of this mind-numbing full-day session.
Yes, let's do
We fast forward to 5 hours. And we're ending with an example of that dreaded quiz. And then handing over to you, Paddy, as Mike, to summarize.
And maybe Rahul, don't give them all the quizzes as Janet. Maybe just the last quiz.
All right.
We usually give them about 5 or 6 quizzes.
Yeah. So let's, let me get to the phase where Janet is on the last quiz. Okay, folks, so you've done 6 quizzes. Now here's the 7th and the last one. Let me repeat. I want to read it from my guide so I don't make any mistake. You work in our procurement department. A vendor offers you a briefcase full of cash worth $50,000 in exchange for awarding them a major contract, even though their bid is 30% higher than the competitors and their quality is questionable. What do you do? Here are your choices. A, accept the money and award them the contract. B, accept the money but award the contract to someone else. C, refuse the money but award them the contract anyway because you like the company logo. Wink, wink. D, report this immediately to the Circle of Conscience department and award the contract purely based on merit. E, take the briefcase but after keeping 10% of the money, use the rest of the money for charity. With that, over to you, Mike.
Thank you, Janet. That was a brilliant training, and I really liked the last quiz. That was a tough one, but I'm sure with our training, these guys will get it. Now, I just want everybody to know, I've written down the modules we've covered. Let me just recap. Today, we've covered a lot, and Janet has done a brilliant job of taking you through 1, proper gift acceptance protocols. Number 2, vendor relationship strategies.
Yeah, that's
Number
a good
3,
one, Mike.
Number
Correct.
3, that was a very good section you did, Janet, on nepotism prevention maneuvers.
Mhm.
Then we went number 4 into social media governance.
Governance
That
frameworks,
was a
correct,
very
yeah.
important section. Please refer to your notes later as you do your social media strategies. Then number 5, you did insider info handling techniques and processes. Then number 6, we did political activity limitations.
Mhm.
7, we did secondary employment restrictions. Then you went into intellectual property guidelines.
Yeah.
You covered CRM ethics and standards. That was a very good section. I really like
Thanks,
the way
Mike.
you did
Yeah,
that
thanks.
one. Number 10 was whistleblower
Yep.
and how we promote
Very
whistleblower.
important.
Confidentiality maintenance methods. And finally, company resources for personal use, guidance on how and how not to. So with that, I thank you all for attending this, and I look forward next year to repeating the same training to all of you in person. But meanwhile, at the 6-month mark, you will get the webinar, which you will, of course, mandatorily have to attend.
Yes.
So with that, shall we call it this mind-boggling session, Rahul, has come to an end?
Yes. You know, Parry, they all say all good things come to an end.
And compliance
Yeah,
training
but good
too.
things come to an end. They never say about compliance training. But let's call it, let's end it and let's end it there. So before we end, please write to us at justbusinesspodcast@gmail.com for your experiences, your thoughts on compliance training and conflict of interest.
And don't limit yourself only to that. Write to us about anything that you find funny at the workplace. We'd love to cover other topics that are of interest to you. With that, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.